Hello and welcome back to Around the Block. Hope you're all doing well today and looking forward to the start of the journey with Partizan Belgrade. I am so looking forward to this one. Serbia is such a good country to play football in, and there's some really good clubs here. And of course, we've got particularly lucky that we managed to get Partizan. Now, as previously mentioned in yesterday's episode, I actually did do a save with Red Star on my YouTube channel back in 2017 on FM17, or not in 2018, but FM17 either way. It was a good save. We didn't get too far into it because at the time I was trying to have some different content and things like that to try and keep people coming in. Because at the time I think I had less than I think it was my second save maybe, so probably less than 100 subscribers easily when I started that Red Star save. But I do feel a little bit dirty coming to Partizan, having done a Red Star Belgrade save in the past, but at least now I can say that I've got both perspectives from Serbia. So today's episode then, essentially we're going to have a bit more of an in-depth look at the club, and we'll play our first game that we're going to be in charge for against Proleter, which is actually the final game of the preliminary phase of the season. But again, we'll get on to how the league works in a bit more depth later on in today's episode. First things first, there's something that we need to do. And that is, of course, get the boy to come with us. Andre, I've spelled his name wrong, Shitty Gel. We need him. We need him to come along with us. However, we already have an assistant manager in place, so we need to make room for Shitty Gel. So our assistant manager right now, on £275 per week, is this chap who's actually really good. He's actually very, very good at this. I mean, judging potential and ability is not brilliant, but his coaching is very good. Working with youngsters is good. Everything's good. So I kind of want to keep hold of him. So let's offer him a new contract. As what have we got room for in our first team? We've got room for a coach in the first team. Now, apparently he's not very suited to being a coach, according to his, if we can bloody find him again. Right. Apparently, he doesn't like being a coach, but I think he's got all the attributes for it, apart from that motivation. So let's offer a new let's start off with a coach. Coach. Be a coach? No, he wants to be the assistant manager or nothing. Okay, well, if that's the way it's going to be, lads, we need to mutually terminate your contract, please. Which he agrees to it. £16,000. He's gone. Okay. Big loss, but we have to get him in, don't we? We have to get him in. Shitty Gel. I mean, I hope he actually comes. I haven't checked this before. Approach to sign. He wants to be an under-19 assistant manager on 1.7k per week. Oh God, can we afford him? Go to coaching, assistant manager. Oh, we can actually afford him on the assistant manager wages. Okay, suggest that. He wants a 2-year, how about a 3-year deal? 3-year deal works for him. Okay, excellent. We're going to have to pay £90,000 for him, but Shitty Gel, he's coming to the club. You love to see it. So that's all good. The big news is kind of out the way. Shitty Gel, fingers crossed, is going to be joining the club very, very shortly as my assistant manager, and you love to see it. Right, let's move on to the team then. I've had a few days to look through the team, work the team out a little bit, and try and put the team into the best positions possible. And what I found out is we have a really, really small squad, and there's not a lot of depth in it. Now, what we can do if we go into this random custom view that I've got here, best position, you can see that we've got loads of left backs and right backs, but only 2 recognised centre backs. We've got 3 recognised centre midfielders, but one of them is a very good attacking midfielder, of which we have 3 of them already. 1 right winger, which is a little loose, 2 left wingers, and 3 strikers, only one of which is decent, to be fair. So it's a small squad, and outside of the first 11, there's not really a lot of quality. So we've got an awful lot of work to do here with Partizan. Now, obviously, we're in a great position. We're still in the cup. We're top of the table right now. All we have to do is just try and keep that momentum going and then actually build a bigger, better squad for next season. So we've actually got some rotation and versatility in that squad. Now, in terms of this first team, if we sort it by potential, I showed you them very briefly last episode. We've got 3 players with 5 stars of potential, but don't get used to these players' names because these 3 players, considering they are 18 and 19 years old, because I felt very bad for the people that subscribe to my Patreon because we've had some terrible youth intakes the past 2 or 3 seasons, and CSK Moscow sacked us before we could even get our youth intake, and if we did get it, then it wouldn't have gone down very well. So they've been very unlucky, so I've decided to make these 3 players available on the Patreon. So this has gone up last night as you watch this, so they could have been taken by now. I know a striker's already been taken. Thad Davis has taken him. He's just trying to work out a very good Ivorian name. I've realised I've told him he's actually Nigerian, not Ivorian. That's terrible. So we might get a nice Nigerian name for this Ivorian chap. So these names will change very soon. Marko Simovic, Gishlin Conan, and Saba Marcus, which is probably for the better because I can't pronounce those names very well. But those names will change very soon, but we'll meet them a little bit later on. We go into our first game. The reserve squad that we've got has no one in it. There's absolutely no one in the Partizan reserves, which is a little bizarre maybe. We do have an under-18 squad with some players for the future, with a lot of players, or it's a few players, 2 players with 4.5 star potential there, so they could be decent, but again, they're probably quite a long way off that first team right now. We've got a player with 2-star current ability, which could make the step up if we needed him to, but I think we want to bring in some better players first and foremost. And I think we have like a feeder club, which we can also see here, Teloptic, and they've got some players with some decent potential too. Now, I don't know if this guy, we just move these players to the Partizan squad. So we do have a lot of youngsters we can look to bring through. But what we really need, I think, is some right here, right now for this Partizan side, particularly when it comes to European football. But we'll get to that for next season, obviously. That's sort of a thing for the summer to bring some players in. So we'll shuffle things around. Right now, we've got this squad to work with, which I think we should do all right with. Financially, we are looking pretty good. £27 million in the bank. We've got £17 million transfer budget as well, which is also quite nice. We've got £230 to spend on wages, £230,000 a week, that is, to spend on wages. Currently spending £140. So we've got a lot of room in that wage budget. Now, not that that's a target, it's a limit. We don't want to be hitting that 230 limit. We want to be nice and comfortable underneath it, so we're not spending too much money, but it's nice that we've got a lot to work with. In terms of sponsorship and stuff, it's a little low. I'd like a bit more, but we've got a good deal here for 7 years. That's ending actually that's ending very shortly. So hopefully we'll get a nice big chunk of new sponsorship coming in at the end of the season. Virtually no debt. We've got £171,000 to pay on transfers, but other than that, virtually no debt, which is quite nice. And I suppose it probably would have made more sense to do this bit first, but we have got excellent training facilities. We've got superb youth facilities. We've secure finances. We've got £87 million value. We've got a beautiful 32,000-seater stadium, which is fantastic. So we're in pretty good hands at Partizan. I think we're pretty comfortable here. So now we're going to go into this game against Proleter for the final game of the preliminary. I can't say preliminary. I can't say it properly. The prelim. I'll say prelim. That's a bit easier. We're going for the final game of the prelim stage of the season. We win this game or draw it or lose it. Whatever we do, we sort of find out a little bit about our squad, as some players are apparently contracts set to expire. None of them look very good. These guys are players about that Teloptic team. Okay. So we can probably get rid of some of these players and stuff like that. That's interesting. But this isn't for now. It's not for now. Let's get away from this. We need to get into the game and sort of introduce you to some of our players. So with all of that being said, it's time to actually focus on the league and the game coming up. So we spoke about it very briefly last episode, the league table. The Serbian Super League. You love to see it. We're top of the table right now, and as you can see, there's a big blue bit and a big red bit. And that is because the league, after 30 games, after everyone's played each other twice, splits in half, which is quite dramatic, really. The top 8 teams play for the championship and those European places. The bottom teams play for just not getting relegated, I assume. Now, I said what happened was that the teams had their points split in half after that split in the table, and that was true in the older versions of Football Manager. Apparently, it must have changed. It now says 100% of their points gained. It used to be like split in half, which is very bizarre, but now it is 100% of the points gained. So we will start with whatever points we finish on, so that's nothing to worry about. Crucially, though, in this sort of second phase of the season, each team only play each other once. So for 7 games, you have 4 home, 3 away, or 4 away and 3 home. So sometimes you might get a bit of a home advantage, sometimes you might not. Sometimes that's a bit unfair, maybe, but it's how they do it, so it must work. I don't know. And then, of course, after that, whoever's top of the table wins the league title and whatnot, and you get £151,000 in prize money, which is a little bit low, I must say. Doesn't say on here like what you get European-wide. You have to scroll down to see that. So one team qualifies for the Champions League second qualifying round. So that's assume that's for the team that finishes first. And then there are 3 spots for the Europa Conference League second qualifying round. So no spots for the Europa League as it stands right now, which is pretty interesting. That is because Serbian Super League is currently the 19th most reputable league in Europe. So if we have a quick look, if we go up to this globe, go to Europe, go to Nation Club coefficients. We're 19th. No, this is something different. This is not what I wanted. Qualification places, that's what we wanted. So Serbia here, 16th, as we can see. A little bit higher than I was looking at. I was looking for 19th, but of course there are teams like the English Championship, the second of the division, that'll probably be more reputable than the Serbian Super League, which is why it's 16th on here, but 19th in terms of actual league structure. So 16th, as you can see, a second qualifying round here in the Champions League. Nothing for Europa League, which a lot of leagues don't get now. After the Europa Conference League comes in, the Europa League is actually really limited to what countries can enter it, whereas the Europa League becomes a lot more open as to what countries can enter it, and I suppose as is the Champions League with all those first qualifying rounds. But we sit in this sort of little bubble here where we get some Champions League and Europa League, but nothing in the Europa Conference League, but nothing in the actual Europa League. I probably over-explained that a little bit, maybe. But we shouldn't be worried about that. As long as Vojvodina don't catch us up, we're a good few points ahead of Red Star as well. Get the win against Proleter today, and hopefully Vojvodina lose. We could be looking to win the league easily. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I've decided on our formation, and we're going to go for a 4-2-3-1 Gegenpress, because that was what was suggested to me by the former assistant manager that I have now sacked and got rid of. Now, this formation has worked well for us in the past, particularly at Martin, but if you watch the live streams with Arsenal at the moment, you'll know that this is just a bizarre formation that seems to work really well against good teams and terribly against bad teams. So I'm a little bit nervous about this one. But this is the starting 11. This is the team that I've put out. Apparently someone picked up an injury, so this guy's got to come off the bench as it stands right now. Right, the starting 11. In goal, we've got a guy called Schwab, or Schwab maybe, because we've got the accent on there. Actually looks like a pretty decent goalkeeper. Thing is, he's 33, on a lot of money per week, and will start to decline a little bit. So already I'm thinking, get him out, get a new keeper in for next season. But he looks very good for the level. I just think he'll start to decline a little bit and will want a lot of money. So maybe we let him run to the end of his contract in, not end of this season, end of next season, but he needs to go soon. That's what I'm thinking. Left back then is one of these young 5-star potential players that will have a new name soon, but this is Saba Marcus for now. Not quite up to scratch for me as a wing back just yet, but we are training him nicely. His mentals and physicals, though, look absolutely fantastic for an 18 years old, and he's this good mentally and physically already. So no wonder he's got a big future ahead of him. Technicals just need to massively improve. Centre back, we've only got 2 recognised centre backs, and these are both of them, and I can't pronounce either of their names. Vuka I think is maybe how you slightly say that, is one of our centre backs. Looks relatively okay. And the ball winning centre back, who has got passing of 10, a little bit low, need to get a better centre back in. But at 19 years old, 4.5-star potential, could be utilised elsewhere in the back maybe, but just not got a left foot on him. As you can see, it looks very good physically for 18 years old, 19 years old. And again, mentally looks quite decent as well. But again, the technicals let him down just a little bit. Our right back, though, Stefan Radmanovic, in terms of current ability, I think is the best player we've got. But again, crossing's rather low, dribbling's rather low. He's not quite the player that I want. So again, he's a player that I think will move over to one side and we'll sell and get someone else in that we actually want in a wing-back position. So far, out of these 5 players, I've said 3 of them have got to go, basically. So not a great start, but in moving into the midfield, where again, we've only got like 2 recognised centre midfielders. This chap, 19 years old, 4-star potential, 2-star current ability, is actually quite a nice ball-winning midfielder, has got some decent attributes on him, and I think can improve. So actually, with a bit of training, this guy might be quite good for us, Norman Mayer. Also alongside him, Filip Akimovic. He looks all right, more of a Mazzala than a playmaker or anything like that, but I think we've got him as a playmaker right now and has got some good passing and technique and vision and whatnot. So again, could be a decent player for us, and actually has got caps for Serbia, so they reckon he's decent too. Moving into the attacking midfield, we've got Mladen Lukovic on that left-hand side as an inside forward. Again, I'm not entirely convinced by him. We've got some very good attacking midfielders coming through, so again, I feel like at £2.8 million value, a player we could potentially make a nice bit of money on at some point. So thinking about he could go. This guy, Kovacevic, in the middle, attacking midfielder, actually, I think is pretty decent and might stay with us for quite some time. Although current ability-wise and stars not looking great, I reckon his actual attributes are very, very good, particularly those mentals. I'm very happy with those. So I think he'll be a player that actually does stay with us for a little bit. This guy, Vid Savlevich, again, I'm going to mess up some of his names. Right winger, on a lot of money at 10 grand a week, valued at quite a bit, is sort of reaching that peak. But is he what we need? Is he what we want? I'm not so sure. So we'll see how he performs. If he performs well, we keep him. But if not, I think he's a candidate to go. And up front, we have the Ivorian that I've told Thad on Patreon is actually Nigerian. That's not so good. It's not a great look, that is it. But either way, he is the best striker that we've got. 16 finishing, 14 first touch, very good. Physical's good, mental's not so bad. 3-star current ability at 19 years old with 5-star potential. I think will be a great player for us. So that's the starting lineup. We'll introduce the subs as and when they come on the pitch. But as you can see, a bit of a mixture of the team right now. I'm not quite sure how I top the table because I don't think this is a great squad. It's got team members in there who are decent, but I don't think it's a great squad. Anyway, kickoff is upon us. Our first game for Partisan. I'll do a lap of the field, just clapping the fans, saying thank you very much for coming by. So as I walk around the field, we've got an attack early on as Radmon. I'm going to struggle with these names so much. Number 18 can't score the goal, but we've had a good chance early on there. Corner coming from it. Again, the names. The names are going to be difficult. Meyer, Vukasinovic is Kovacevic. I'm just going to be you're not going to know who's on the ball because I can't say the names. I think the transfer policy has to be names that I can pronounce over players who are actually good. I think that might be the first thing we need to do is we're looking to come forward though. I'm liking how we're actually quite nice at attacking right off the bat. And Conan, has had some good opportunities so far. I've been a bit unlucky with them, but Conan, I can say his name. So Thad, please don't choose a difficult name. And I bet you're going to make it a difficult one for me. So thank you for that in advance. As Lukovic coming forward, I can say that name. That's a nice, easy one to say. Lukovic coming forward, plays it back to Meyer. Meyer into Lukovic again, into Kovacevic. Come on, up forward to the guy that I cannot pronounce. He's got to go because I just can't pronounce his name. But Conan scores his 16th goal of the season. He looks like he's been quite prolific before we even got here. But this is a great start to our campaign as the manager of Red Star Belgrade. Let's watch this goal go in beautiful, maybe not quite so beautiful, but in 3D at least. Cross comes in, Conan's there, gets on the end of it. Bottom corner, you love to see it. I'm going to have to practice these names so much in between episodes. Vida Savalievich is when you say it slowly is okay, but when you suddenly see it on screen, I panic, and I'm not entirely sure how to say it. But either way, a decent first half. Keep the performance up, lads. Keep going. Let's get a win here today. Proleter not making too many inroads to our goal, but we're not making that many inroads to theirs. Only 8 shots in that first half. I'd like to see a little more from us. Great to see 31,000 fans turn up to this game. This is actually the biggest home attendance I've had for a league game at any club. Moscow only had 30,000 seats in their stadium. We've already eclipsed that here at Partizan, which is fantastic. So that's the biggest crowd we've played in front of in our home stadium as a club, which is great. One of our centre-backs is looking tired. The issue is we've not really got any out-and-out centre-back to come on for him. We've got a right-back who can ish play centre-back, and he'll have to come on there to keep him there. Although we have got a right-back who's not looking very tired, who, oh God, this is not looking... We need more defenders. That's the biggest thing for next season. Lukovic not playing brilliantly, so we're going to bring this chap on. So we just brought on, one second, Milo Kovic. We might just name him Milo. He's not very good. He'll leave the club very short. I think his contract doesn't end soon. We'll make sure his contract ends soon because he doesn't look very good. And we've also just brought on Boris Kristic, which I can pronounce. He's actually more of a striker, but can play on the wing. Interesting. But he's got rubbish crossing, so maybe not a winger. Again, things to work out here. He also looks like he's 12 years old as well, which you hate to see. But there we go. Okay, I think we are going to have to do... This Partizan side is going to change so much over the summer transfer window. Either way, it looks like we are going to win this game. Oh, luckily that went over the bar. I thought I was about to eat my own words there. But with 5 minutes on the clock, not really much being off from Proleter at all in this second half. And are we going to grab a goal in this as this guy passes it into that guy? Names I can't pronounce. Vladiv. Oh, God, the names. I'm sorry. I know I keep saying it. But it just looks like letters to me, and I'm trying to come up with something in my brain quickly, and it will come to me at some point. As Kristic, who's terrible at crossing but does look like a 12-year-old, scores his 10th goal of the season. I don't know if we can keep him around or not, but oh God, this team, we'll work it out. We'll get there slowly with this team. Free kick for Proleter to finish off the game, which they put high and over the bar, which is absolutely fantastic. So I think we're going to be winning this one, and we have done. Partizan 2. Proleter 0. It looks like Vojvodina won their game, as did Red Star, but we've still got a 3-point gap to Vojvodina heading into the second phase of the season. A 7-point gap over Red Star. We've joined the perfect team at the perfect time, if I'm honest with you. Like, we're in pole position to win a championship, to win the league title, and we've barely had to do anything, which is that's the best thing, isn't it? So as you can see, after that, the league has been split in two. So the top 8 fight out for the championship, bottom guys fight out for relegation. Lots of relegation. I assume some of them are playoff places. If we have a quick look at final phase, can we see like the B phase? It just says final phase now, playoff. Oh, it looks like, yeah, there are some playoff places there for relegation. Okay. But it doesn't tell me which places that do get relegated. That's so weird, this. Excellent stuff then. Excellent stuff. So, I'm just going to try and go forward for a couple of days because I just want to see if the boy, Andre, signs for us before we have our next game. But we'll talk about that in just a moment's time. Important dates coming up. It's not Andre. It's not Andre. Where is Andre? Let's get him in. Let's get him into the club very quickly. Ah, here he is. Andre Shitty. He's joining us once again. He's coming in to be the assistant manager. And I tell you what, you love to see it. Here he is in all his glory. Send on an intensive language course. Shitty. You love to see it. He's got his National B licence now, which does actually mean that CSK Moscow actually gave him a coaching course, which is fantastic. Can we get him a coaching course here somehow? I'm not quite. You can do it. I don't know how you actually ask them to do a coaching course, but he's here. Andre, you love to see it. Right, so I'm trying to work out what we should do next episode, and by looks of things, it puts in our fixtures in order of like the league table. So actually we start off with Vojvodina and Red Star, and I feel like they are two big games that we can't not do if they're second and third in the table. So we will come back next episode for Vojvodina and Red Star, but saying that, we've also got a cup final against Kukuriki there. So I think actually tomorrow, 3-game special. 3-game special. I'm liking the sound of that. So, welcome to Partizan. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you think that we have picked the right club and you can get right behind this. If we can win a league title, that would be just mental, and then we build a team for next season to try and get to the group stage of the Champions League. That would be our biggest aim with Partizan, trying to get to the group stage of the Champions League. And we need to build a team capable of doing that, but also capable of winning a league title really comfortably. That's what we want to be doing. So thank you ever so much for watching today's episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have done, please do drop a like on the video for me, and of course subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Goodbye.